What's up, everybody? Big things are happening behind the scenes, and today we're diving deep into some serious draft talk that could completely shake up what people are expecting. Now, there's been a lot of buzz about the team targeting a running back in the first round. That's a possibility, no doubt. But I gotta say, it wouldn't shock me one bit if they threw everyone off and went with an offensive tackle instead. And the more you dig into it, the more that scenario starts to make a whole lot of sense. Look, I've been paying close attention to this front office ever since they took over, and if there's one thing that stands out, it's their obsession with building the trenches. Offensive line, defensive line, they value the battle up front. That's where the game is won and lost, and this staff knows it. If it were me calling the shots with that 6th overall pick, I wouldn't think twice. I'd lock in an offensive tackle, no question. There's just too much riding on protecting the quarterback and creating lanes for whoever's in the backfield. And from what I'm hearing, that's exactly the kind of thinking going on inside the building right now. Lately, the rumor mill has been heating up, and a new name has started circulating. It's one of those situations where if this new buzz is true and this name really is in play, then things might be about to get wild. This offensive tackle might just be the surprise pick that nobody saw coming. I've been flooded with messages from fans asking if I saw the new report floating around. And yes, I did. But here's the thing. Just because there's smoke doesn't always mean there's fire. Sometimes it's just draft season smoke screens. Teams are playing chess out here. So we got to approach it smart, think critically, and try to decode what's real and what's just strategic noise. Now, if you're one of those die-hard fans who lives for this kind of stuff, you better be ready. There's a 3-round mock draft simulation coming up, and the whole crew is getting involved. It's happening live on April 17th, 1 o'clock Eastern. Mark your calendars, because that's when things start to get serious. But back to this idea of going offensive tackle. It's not just some theory pulled out of thin air. There are real reasons behind this potential move, and they go beyond gut feeling. We've got multiple signs pointing toward the team having real interest in a top tackle prospect. And if you've been listening closely over the past few weeks, you've probably heard this name before. It's one that's been mentioned more than once, and now it's gaining real momentum. That's not something you can ignore. The buzz isn't coming from nowhere either. When multiple reliable sources start aligning on the same player, that's when you start paying attention. People are mocking a running back to this team all over the place, but behind the scenes, I've been told the staff is seriously weighing the offensive tackle route. It fits their MO. New leadership, new priorities. They want to fix the line, and it makes perfect sense. Look at their recent history with tackles. They've had some success stories, and they know the value of a dominant presence up front. In fact, the belief is this prospect could end up being the first offensive lineman off the board, even ahead of some of the more talked-about names. I've said for a while now that he's the best lineman in this entire draft class. That's not hype. It's based on film, performance, and projection. And I've broken down other players too, but none quite check all the boxes like this one. The current leadership has a clear strategy, and it starts in the trenches. This is about setting the tone for the whole team, and picking a tackle here could do exactly that. Now, speaking of trenches, let's talk about something that came up recently, Tristan Wirfs. That name carries weight for a reason. There's a certain coach whose main concern has always been the line of scrimmage, and it's not just him. There's another player on this roster who puts a lot of value in that area of the game, too. He gave an interview not long ago and dropped some real gems that are worth thinking about. When someone like that speaks, you listen, because what they're saying connects directly to what we're seeing with this front office. One quote really stood out to me: the big guys win games. Simple, but powerful. And honestly, that's been my philosophy for years. If you can't dominate at the line of scrimmage, offense or defense, you're playing at a disadvantage. Doesn't matter if it's the pros or college ball. If your big men aren't getting it done, you're not going far. That's the truth of football, and this team knows it. There's another layer to this. A person close to the program pointed out that all the successful teams in a certain region were built from the trenches out. That philosophy runs deep. Every system they've been a part of puts the line first. It's how they measure success. They're not looking for flashy. They're looking for foundational. Now, I got to bring up someone who's played a massive role in shaping this mindset, SBYC. This guy has influenced so many of the roster decisions, and he's a big believer in building from the inside out. His exact words were, "That's who I am at my core." When someone says that with conviction, you better believe they're serious. He's had success with that model before, and he's not about to abandon it now. He even talked about how a previous team he helped build won a championship by sticking to that plan. That's not coincidence, that's strategy. Sure, having a talented running back is great. No one's arguing that. But even the best back in the world can't shine if he's getting hit 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage every play. You got to give him a chance. And that means giving him blockers who can open holes and keep defenders off his back. That's where a top-tier tackle comes in. It's not the flashy move, but it might be the smartest one. SBYC even said that in his championship run, the offensive line was the real MVP. The results speak for themselves. And now, there's talk about another standout lineman, someone SBYC clearly admires. This player deserves a closer look because he's exactly the type of addition that could change the trajectory of this team. If you haven't heard his name yet, don't worry, you will. And once you do, you might start looking at this draft from a whole new angle. All right, I know what some of you are thinking. This all sounds great, but where's the flashy talk? Where's the hype? And hey, I get it. But this right here, this is the foundation. You don't build a mansion on sand. You need concrete, brick, steel. And that's what a pick like this gives you. Now, there's something else going on that's just too good not to talk about. And yeah, it's off topic, but stick with me. You know how draft season gets hectic, right? Long days, heated debates, tons of travel. And all of that adds up to one thing, sweat. A lot of it. And when it comes to staying fresh through all that madness, you've got to have the right gear. I've been using Mando, and let me tell you, it's a game changer. 12 hours after a shower. Most guys are sitting at maybe a 5 out of 10 in terms of freshness. With Mando, you're still at a solid 10. It's a full-body deodorant that's perfect for those of us who are always on the move. You can hit the pits, the feet, all the spots. They got a starter pack that's perfect for newcomers. Stick, cream, wipes, even some body wash. And yeah, they're giving a nice little discount for first-timers. So if you've been looking for a way to stay cool and confident during this crazy season, that's your answer. Anyway, back to the topic, because trust me, we're just getting warmed up. There's an analogy I've used before that I think really drives this home. If I were a general manager and I knew I had one shot at building a team that could win the Super Bowl, I wouldn't waste it chasing flash. I'd build like I've seen it work before. I'd find my Tristan Wirfs, my Armin Mayu, replicate success, stick to what wins. And here's something wild. Did you know that Tristan Wirfs, Armin Mayu, Will Campbell, and Trent Williams are the only 4 players in NFL history who weighed over 315 pounds, jumped over 30 inches vertically, and ran the 40-yard dash in under 5 seconds at the combine? That's a freakish combination of size, speed, and power. And guess what? Armin Mayu might even be more impressive than Wirfs. That's not me exaggerating. That's based on real numbers. One respected draft analyst gave Wirfs a 6.48 grade coming out. Mayu, 6.49. That's insane. And that's just the beginning. Stay locked in. There's more coming. So yeah, hearing a name like Armin Mayu thrown into the mix might catch some fans off guard. But the more I look into it, the more it all lines up. The Raiders have been linked to offensive linemen for weeks now. And it's not just random guesswork. It's coming from people who've been pretty accurate in the past. And let's be honest here. When you've got a player who grades out higher than a guy like Wirfs, you have to pay attention. But here's the twist. Some people believe all this hype around Mayu could be a smokescreen. Why would that be? Well, think about it. If the team's planning to trade down in the draft, what better way to stir up interest than leaking that they're in love with a top-tier offensive tackle that could pressure other teams to move up, thinking they'll miss out? It's a classic play. Put the spotlight on a guy like Mayu, get the buzz going, then slide back a few spots, grab more picks, and still walk away with a great player. And honestly, that strategy makes a lot of sense. There are several teams just behind them in the draft order that are desperate for offensive tackles. One of those teams could easily be baited into jumping up. Meanwhile, the Raiders still end up with someone they like. Maybe Ashton Jenney or another tackle they've got rated highly. and they get an extra second or third round pick in the process. That's how you build depth. That's how you set yourself up for long-term success. I've even wondered if some of these reports that started circulating last week were planted on purpose. Like if I'm a GM trying to get a team to bite on a trade, I might feed a well-placed leak to a connected analyst. Suddenly, everyone's talking. The Raiders love Mayu. They're locked in on a tackle. And boom, the phones start ringing. A team calls up and says, "Hey, what would it take to get a 6?" That's exactly the scenario I could see playing out here. Let's not forget, this year's quarterback class isn't exactly blowing people away. There's no consensus number one guy that teams are falling over themselves to draft. So if teams are trying to move up for a quarterback, what else might they come up for? That's right, tackles. Especially ones like Mayu who check all the boxes athletically and come with insane upside. Now think about this. San Francisco needs help at tackle. Miami needs help at tackle. There are multiple teams in that mid to late first round range who could easily justify moving up a few spots to get a cornerstone lineman. If the Raiders play this smart, they could absolutely capitalize on that need. But here's where it gets even more interesting. From what I've gathered, the team hasn't had any direct contact with Mayu during the pre-draft process. No combine meetings, no pro day interaction, no top 30 visits. Nothing. That's a bit odd, right? Especially for a guy who's supposedly high on their board. On the other hand, there's another tackle, who I won't name just yet, who has had those meetings. Combine interviews, a top 30 visit, full engagement. So that raises a major question. Is the team really targeting Mayu? Or are they floating his name out there to hide their true intentions? It could go either way. Personally, I love Mayu's game and wouldn't be upset at all if they went that route. But the lack of contact gives me pause. It's one of those classic draft season curveballs, where the truth gets buried under layers of strategy and misdirection. But let's assume, just for a moment, that Mayu really is the pick. What would that mean? Well, it would signal that the Raiders are serious about investing in the offensive line. It would show that they're willing to commit to a long-term plan, even if it's not the sexiest move on draft night. And honestly, that's the kind of forward thinking this franchise needs right now. I've been banging this drum for months. If you want to win consistently in the NFL, you have to win the trenches. It's not optional. It's not a luxury. It's the foundation of everything. Build the line, protect your quarterback, open holes for your backs, and everything else flows from there. But let me throw a little wrinkle in here. Relationships matter. A lot. And if there's one thing this new front office has shown us, it's that they value connections. Look at some of their recent moves. Alex Kappa brought in. Maxx Crosby extended. Raheem Mostert signed. A guy who already had ties to members of the staff. These aren't just talented players. They're players with history, trust, familiarity. So when I look at the lack of interaction with Mayu and compare it to the engagement they've had with another top tackle prospect, I start to think maybe the choice isn't Mayu at all. Maybe the real plan is to take someone else. Someone they've actually sat down with, asked questions, looked in the eyes, and felt that connection. We're just a week out from the draft, and if you followed the NFL long enough, you know how this works. These late-breaking reports, these sudden shifts in narrative, they're usually not random. They're part of a plan. So when you see a player's name suddenly trending, ask yourself, who benefits from this? We're getting close now. Draft night's almost here, and I have a feeling we're in for a surprise. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In a shocking development that has taken the NFL world by storm, rumors are circulating that Las Vegas Raiders star defensive end Maxx Crosby could face a massive blow to his career. A 2-year suspension due to an alleged violation of the league's substance policy. The news has left fans, analysts, and even teammates on edge, with no official statement from the league or the team as of yet. For a player who was ranked among the top 10 in the NFL's 2024 player rankings and earned Pro Bowl honors just months ago, the potential repercussions are devastating, both for Crosby personally and for the Raiders as a team. As one of the most dominant defensive forces in recent years, Crosby's ability to disrupt offenses has earned him recognition far and wide. In the 2023 season alone, He finished with an impressive 14.5 sacks and 90 total tackles, securing his place as one of the top pass rushers in the league. His dominance didn't stop there. Crosby was also named AFC Defensive Player of the Week on multiple occasions. The thought that a player of his caliber might be sidelined for an extended period due to off-field issues is almost unthinkable, but the rumors continue to swirl. Fans are left wondering how such a situation could have unfolded and whether there's more to the story than has been reported. The NFL's substance abuse policy is notoriously strict, with penalties ranging from fines to suspensions, depending on the severity of the violation. If Crosby is indeed facing a 2-year suspension, the Raiders will have to find a way to fill the massive gap left by their star defensive player. The team's playoff hopes would certainly take a hit, and Crosby's future with the franchise could be forever altered. While the player himself has yet to comment on the situation, sources close to the team suggest that there may be more twist to this story than the public knows. For now, speculation is running rampant as reporters attempt to piece together any available information. Was this a one-time mistake, or is there a deeper issue at play? Did Crosby knowingly violate the policy, or could there be extenuating circumstances that could reduce the suspension? These questions are the talk of the NFL community, and the answers, if they ever come to light, will certainly be a major topic of discussion for the foreseeable future. But one thing is certain, this developing story is far from over. As the investigation continues, both the Raiders and Crosby supporters are waiting anxiously for official word on what comes next. Should Crosby indeed face such a long suspension, it would not only mark a dark chapter in his career, but also send shockwaves through the entire NFL. The potential fallout from such a decision could reshape the course of the Raiders' season and Crosby's place in the league for years to come. Stay tuned for more updates as this drama unfolds. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.